Well, Badr, it's so nice to be here with you at Qatar Airport, a beautiful backdrop for this discussion. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us. It feels like this is a moment of great uncertainty around the world, with lots of uncertainty about trade, about tariffs, geopolitical barriers going up. What is your assessment of how much of an impact that is having on passenger volumes and passenger traffic, really, the last few months?
Joumanna, we're a global airline working in a global environment. If I tell you tariff is not impacting us, I will not be honest with you. But what I can tell you that we are resilient, we are agile, and we have proven this over the last years. We have gone through a lot as Qatar Airways, and we have proven over and over that we are a resilient airline. Of course, it will have an impact on our supply chain, on our cargo operation. However, what we are going to do is to basically absorb and adapt with any changes. Our mission is to continue to fly our customers, our passengers, and to continue to be the airline of choice for our passengers.
Are you seeing less interest out of passengers to fly into and out of the United States? Because we've heard from some other airlines that they're reducing the frequency of some of their flights into notable US airports. Are you seeing something similar?
Absolutely not. It's the contrary in our case. Maybe it is because of it's Qatar Airways, but we see very high demand on all over our network, especially in the United States, and we're seeing this in April. April is the best April in the history of Qatar Airways. Demand is very high. Our load factor to the US is in the higher 86-87%, and we can see this continuing in May and in June. So we are not experiencing this lower interest.
Let's go back to tariffs and the fact that you are observing what's happening, and given you are a global airline, it is going to have an impact. But what sort of an impact are you expecting? Is it going to have a higher cost impact? Are you anticipating higher costs in your supply chain?
Of course, supply chain will be impacted. However, we have an existing contract. We have enough spare parts. We have enough inventory when it comes to our whatever related to supply chain. We can assure our passengers that they will not notice or they will not be impacted with the ticket prices because of tariff.
Okay. So you're not going to pass on higher prices?
No, we will not pass the higher prices. We will not basically lower the experience. We will not try to cut cost. They will see the contrary of this. We will continue to be the best airline. We will continue to provide a better experience, and we will continue to basically have better offering to our customers.
So I see that and I think, okay, higher costs, you're not going to pass them on, so you have to absorb them. What does that do to your profit? I know your earnings are coming up in a couple of weeks' time, so you can't say too much, but factoring all of those in together, what can we expect?
Talking about our profit, as you know, last year was a record-breaking profit for Qatar Airways. It was the highest in the history of Qatar Airways. This year, we will be announcing our profit in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and I can promise you that we will break our record again, but not by a small margin. I'm not talking about 1, 2, 5%, by much higher than this. So, and again, for the next year, we build into our budget for certain situation. Yani, for example, 24-25 is a record-breaking profit for us. Nobody anticipated the geopolitical situation and the fuel price and all of these things. However, it was built into our budget, and this is why you see us again breaking our record this year.
Okay, looking forward to those earnings in a few weeks' time then. What about your freight business for the rest of this year? And again, the impact that tariffs could have specifically on that part of your business?
You know, we will notice some impact over there, but the good thing, trade will not disappear overnight. And the good thing about our business, our cargo business, we have long-term partnership with major companies worldwide, and we have agreed rates and prices with them. Today, are we able to meet demands? We're not. So if you tell me I'll give you 10 more freighters, I will put them into operation immediately. So even if demands go down, we're still covered because we are not able to meet the demand that we have today.
I see. Are you seeing any interest to develop new routes in freight on back of, again, the I guess, move towards a more multipolar world and different trading?
Absolutely not. You know, it's about working smartly with our partners. We don't have to do this ourselves. We signed multiple agreements to cover so many destinations and to expand our cargo network, whether it is in the Far East and South America and Europe. So this is basically, this should be an answer that yes, our network, our cargo network keeps expanding. In a few days, we're going to sign a major deal with another major player in the market to expand our network, cargo network even further.
So let's talk about your fleet, and maybe let's just start with deliveries. What jet deliveries are you expecting to occur in 2025?
We have an existing order of 78-9, of 351,000, of 321 NEOs, 777-9, and we continue receiving the 78-9 and the 351,000 as we speak. We received one a few days ago. We're receiving another one next week. So this continues we continue to put more metals into our fleet. The 321 NEOs, we will start receiving it in the upcoming year. The 777-9, 777X, we're expecting to receive it end of 26 or beginning of 27. So we continue adding more aircrafts to our fleet. This is from one side. On the other side, as you're aware, we have released an RFP for a new order of wide bodies. It was, I remember, March or April last year, and it is going according to plan. We were anticipating or planning to announce it in April. We might be a few weeks late. So we're planning today to announce this order maybe in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So we have so many things to wait for, from our financials to our new fleet order, which will all happen during May.
Okay, so let me just go back to one thing you mentioned about the 777X. You said you'll likely take delivery towards end of 26, maybe beginning of 27. So that means the new business suite that you're rolling out, Q Suite, will be first operational when that plane ultimately gets delivered.
This was the plan, to have it on the 777X.
Yes.
But because of the delays that we have noticed in the delivery of the 777X, we are working closely internally to maybe have it on the later deliveries of our 351,000. And this is the plan that we're studying internally. We're almost 80-90% almost done on how to achieve this. And I think you will see it on the 351,000 before the 777X.
Have the delivery delays been difficult to deal with?
Yes, it is. But this is a problem. It's not only impacting Qatar Airways. It's impacting everybody else in the industry. The advantage that we have one of the youngest fleets in any major airline in the industry. So this gives us a bit of a room. If delays are 2 or 3 years, this means our fleet will go will move from an average age of 8, 9, 10 years to 12 or 14 years. So this has given us a room to basically, again, absorb those delays, in addition to the deliveries that are taking place as we speak now.
So let's go back to that wide body order that you mentioned. Can you give us visibility on whether you're leaning towards Boeing or Airbus?
The reason that we went for an RFP is basically to get the best price. We are operating Boeing and Airbus. We have Boeing and Airbus in our fleet, and we see how they're performing. They're performing excellent. So the intention for the RFP is to basically get the best commercial offer from both manufacturers. Let them compete, and we will get the best out of any of them. So today, as we speak, it is still fair game between both of them. A decision will be made in the next few days.
Well, I can think of one person who likes making a deal, and that is President Trump.
Yeah.
Have you had any communication from the White House about a potential order to Boeing?
We're getting, of course, it's a big order. It's a sizable order. We're getting communication from the US and Europe as well, just to understand where and when we see this order is going to take place, just for information.
One thing that you've talked about in the past is commonality of your fleet and the fact that you have many different types of aircraft. Are you thinking of perhaps streamlining it, making it more homogeneous? And if so, what are some of the aircraft that you think you might give up?
It was a problem. It was a problem when it comes to supply chain, when it came to spare parts, to the training of our pilots, of our cabin crew, of our MRO, hangar capacity. So it basically, we got a few issues and few problems because of the wide options of aircrafts that we had in our fleet, and we're trying to streamline to basically move to a fewer type of aircrafts in our fleet. It will be two types of wide bodies and two or three types of wide bodies and one type of narrow body.
Yeah. Can you give any visibility on the Boeing 737s, perhaps that you may look to retire as part of that plan?
The 737, we have only a small aircraft in our fleet, and part of our plan is to basically focus on one type of narrow body. And as you know, we have an existing order of almost 60 321 neos Airbus. So indirectly, you know where our narrow body strategy is going for.
Yeah. I want to actually ask you about the engine on the Airbus 350, which is made by Rolls-Royce. And the reason I bring this up is other airlines have said that the engine isn't fit to operate in hot and sandy climates. Do you have the same view?
See, being the one of the biggest operators of the 350, the engines on the 350-900 is performing excellent. The aircraft is one of our most profitable aircrafts, and it is one of our favorite aircrafts to our commercial team. The 350-1000, we are getting promises from both Rolls-Royce and Airbus that there are issues, and they're promising us to increase the number of cycles on the 350-1000 engines. And some of the promises they're delivering, and we're waiting for the rest of the promises. But we see, today we see there is light at the end of the tunnel, that issues with the engines on the 350-1000 will be addressed.
Let's turn to your strategy. In your time as CEO, you've made a couple of acquisitions, one of Virgin Australia, the other one of Airlink. What is the thought behind these types of acquisitions? What's the strategy?
It's a very simple approach. We have an equation whenever we go for an equity investment in any other airline. The first part of the equation that we need to make sure that this airline is profitable, it has been operated in a perfect way, and we see the future. It has a very clear strategy for the future. This is the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation, we need to make sure that this airline will complement Qatar Airways, will complement our network. And as well, we need to complement their network. We need to complement their operation. So basically, it's a win-win situation for both airlines. And you see this implemented or reflected basically, and I'll give you some examples. Airlink. We made sure that our operation with Airlink or our collaboration with Airlink, it basically fulfills the requirement of them feeding into our network from South Africa, and we feed into their network to cover the whole south part of the African continent. And this was the plan from the beginning. The same with the LATAM. Today, we have one flight to South America, which is into Sao Paulo. We don't cover anywhere else in South America. However, this is covered by LATAM. So we feed into their network, regional network into South America, and they take our passengers from Sao Paulo to all over South America, and then in return they feed into our network.
So it's almost like acquiring growth. Is that how you would think about it?
We are growing in a smart way. We don't need to expand our fleet by 500, 600, 700 aircrafts to be able to cover all new destinations, or new cities. We are growing smartly with our partners. Yani today, as we speak, daily with our partners, we have 5,000 flights with Qatar Airways flight number on a daily basis. So basically, it's a flight every 16 seconds.
Yeah. What's missing in your network?
There is always potential to grow in certain markets. For example, India, China, Korea, Japan. Australia is a very important market for us, but with the partnership of Virgin Australia, I believe this is already addressed. We can grow even further in Australia with our partners. So there are still few markets that we would love to grow more in.
Yeah. There are lots more airlines entering into the region, lots more competition. Turkish Airlines ramping up, Riyadh Air is about to launch. How do you view the rise of the competition in the region?
You know, over the many years, over the decade, 2 decades that we are into business, we are going through competition on a daily basis. It's a very competitive environment between us, Emirates, Etihad, and the region. There is very high demand. And of course, if there is a new airline, there is enough room for another airline to come into the equation. And we have proven over the last few years that we are ready for competition. We are continuing to grow. We are expanding our fleet. We are expanding our hub. This shows that passengers are choosing us over competitors.
Does it become more difficult to retain and attract talent when some of your competitors are offering very high incentives and benefits to people to come and work there?
Yeah, but it is a concern that we see. But today, our employees look at it from a long-term point of view. Do they want to continue with Qatar Airways, an airline that has proven that it's the best airline in the industry over and over and over, or risk it by going to another airline, to a new environment, to a new way of business? And we are attrition. Also, since our attrition dropped from 17-18% to 4-5%. So our staff understand that they made the right choice and they want to continue with Qatar Airways.
Do you think Qatar needs a low-cost airline similar to others?
You know, with the current situation of complication in traffic rights and bilaterals, it's not the right time. Especially when we talk about certain markets, China, India, and Iran. So those places we are already restricted. The question would have a different answer if it was asked to me 10, 15 years ago.
Interesting. You've talked in the past about the potential for an IPO for Qatar Airways. What is that looking like now?
You know, Qatar Airways, again, maybe there is more interest now since Qatar Airways is continuing to break their records and making, alhamdulillah, a huge profit. But the decision will be taken by the government and by Qatar Investment Authority. And we're working closely with them. It's an option on the table. They have not yet took a decision how to proceed.
Okay. Well, I want to round up the discussion just making note of the fact that we're sitting at this beautiful airport. And I know at some point in your past, you also oversaw a lot of the airport plans, ambitions. You were here, obviously, when it started operating. And we've just seen the expansion of the airport with 2 new concourses. How does this tie in to what you are achieving and what QA is achieving?
Again, this is basically to reflect our growth in Qatar Airways or to support our ambition or our and the growth of Qatar Airways. The expansion that we're sitting in now was completed before the World Cup. Our number of passengers in 2021 was around 38 to 40 million passengers, maybe 41 million passengers. This expansion was finished in a record time in less than 2 years. And the plan was to bring the capacity of the airport to 54 million passengers. During construction, looking at the growth of Qatar Airways, and based on our calculation, we have realized, based on our assumption and based on the numbers, that after we open the expansion, in a year or 2 years' time, we will reach this capacity. So once the expansion was completed in November 14th November 2022, 3 months later, January, we started working on the next expansion. We started the construction in March 2023. And the 2 concourses that we opened recently, concourses D and E, took our capacity from 54 million passengers to 65 million passengers. And luckily, few days before we opened the concourses D and E, our assumptions or our predictions were correct. In 2024, the number of passengers in Hamad International Airport reached 53.5 million passengers, which is only 500,000 less than our assumption, which is also less than the capacity. So the new concourses basically took us from 54 to 65, and with the way we operate today, I'm sure the 65 can be expanded with the same facility to 75 or 77 million passengers.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.